What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Kicking It with Crowder. Gonna play a little bit of music real quick, a little instrumental, let some people join, and we'll get started, guys. Don't forget, you comment down below if you join. Want to join the conversation, guys? Let me know, and let's do it. All right, Falcons, what you gonna do tonight? I'm gonna break my heart again. Let's go. All right, guys. So, hey, we're going to talk Dodgers World Series tonight. We'll talk last week's college football results, this week's biggest games to talk about. We'll talk Atlanta Falcons Carolina preview tonight. Also, NBA news. Daryl Morey, the GM, the former GM of the Houston Rockets, goes to Philadelphia as a president of basketball operations. What moves that may bring as well. So we'll talk about all that tonight. We'll get started here in just a little bit. There we go. What up, Wes? Rise up, man. Rise up. We'll see what they do tonight, man. I mean, it's going to be a close game. Carolina hasn't beat the Falcons in both games. Haven't swept them since 2007. So we'll see what they do tonight, man. I have a feeling they'll show up, but let's just see if we can finish the game, all right? All right, so Wes is with us. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pause this. And we'll get started here in just a second, guys. So, hey, we got another one on the live. Guys, be sure to comment. Be sure to interact throughout the show. Share it, like it, all that good stuff, okay? All right, so, yeah, you're right. Christian McCaffrey's out tonight, Wes. That's a good thing. But Mike Davis has done a good job stepping in for him. All right, so Kicking It with Crowder starts in 3, 2, 1, and welcome everybody to Kicking It with Crowder, episode 8 on the new season, guys. So season 2, we're excited to bring you this week's show. The LA Dodgers are the World Series champions after defeating the Tampa Bay Rays 4-2. And man, I know Braves fans, I couldn't even really watch the World Series. I couldn't get into it this year. The Braves were so close. I mean, I feel like we matched up well with Tampa Bay. Could have won the World Series, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. They didn't get it done. And the LA Dodgers make enough plays. I mean, any moment they need a big hit, a timely home run, walk. I mean, they seem to get it. So the LA Dodgers, that's got to be the Braves' number one priority coming into this next season. Is you got to be able to beat LA. You got to go out and get an ace. I know we have Max Fried. I know we have Anderson. I know we have Soroka coming back. But, man, if we could go out and sign a Trevor Bauer, a trade for a Blake Snell, I mean, someone to come in and really eat up 6, 7, 8 innings and shut down a potent offense like the LA Dodgers. I mean, Trevor Bauer, I'm not sure what he'll want in the offseason, but I know he wants a boatload of money. So we'll see what they do. Blake Snell, though, guys, name I just mentioned, he was pulled in the 6th inning, pitching the game of his life. He had only thrown 73 pitches. Giving up 2 hits, and Kevin Cash, plays the analytics, wants to get to the bullpen, goes to the bullpen, and goes with a guy who had gave up a run those last 6 appearances. And I just didn't like that move. I think you got to stick with your horses. You got to stick with what got you there. And it was a bad move. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. It was a bad move by Kevin Cash going to the bullpen early. He actually did it in Game 5 against the in Game 7 against the Astros the series before. He got into some trouble in the 4th inning, gave up 3 hits. They took him out of the game. So They've been going to their bullpen all year. It didn't work. It backfired. Dodgers end up scoring 2 runs that inning, add a home run later on, so they win the game 3-1. And also, guys, Justin Turner tests positive during the game for coronavirus. They take him out in the 8th inning. He then comes back out to celebrate with his teammates. So we'll talk about all that backlash on in a little bit later on. Was it the right move? What should they have done? What will baseball do now? What will Major League Baseball do now? We'll see. We'll look into the matchups this week, guys, not only in the SEC, but also other notable matchups this weekend. Penn State, Ohio State, that's a big game, even though Penn State did lose to Indiana. Ohio State and Penn State have played relatively close the last 4 or 5 seasons. So we'll talk about all those matchups, guys. I'll also give you my picks for the weekend. I'm cooling off a little bit on my picks. I was hot. I was hot there for a little bit. I think I was 11. I think I was like 11-4, 11-3. I have cooled off. I was 11-6. I have cooled off a lot. So the against the spread picks there, it's very hard. Betting's not an easy thing to do at all. So I'll give you my picks tonight against the spread. I'm going to have one NFL pick. I'll have the Thursday night game pick tonight, and then also 4 college games this weekend. So I'll give you 5 picks this weekend, and we'll see how we go there. The Atlanta Falcons, guys, take on the Carolina Panthers in a Thursday night football matchup. 1-6 Falcons, 1-6. I mean, this team should be at least 4-3, maybe 5-2. But it doesn't matter what you should have done. You should have finished these ball games. Carolina comes in at 3-4, led by Matt Rule, the former Baylor Bears head coach. The Falcons look to maybe get their season on track tonight after the disaster last week. First, Detroit Falcons score when they should have, either kneeled or come up short of the goal line and kick the field goal, and you win the game probably if you make it. But the defense also could not get a stop with 64 seconds left. They wouldn't let them go 80 yards. I feel like too many people are worried about what Gurley did and or didn't do versus, at the same time, you have to make a play to win the games. And the Falcons just don't do it. They find so many ways to lose, and it's so frustrating. So we'll talk about this game. We'll preview it, how the offense matches up with Carolina's defense, and then vice versa. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show as well. And then also, guys, I told you a little bit earlier in the show, the Philadelphia 76ers have signed Daryl Morey to run the basketball operations. Look for shakeups to happen to that roster. You have Joel Embiid, you got Ben Simmons. Will he try to shake up the rest of the roster and keep those 2 cornerstones, or does he look to move on from one of them? I think you probably try to move on from one of these players. I have an interesting trade later on, but we'll talk about that. And I have a trade that could jumpstart the process. So we'll see what Philadelphia does. And guys, but thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Also, if you're listening to this after the fact on Apple or Spotify, guys, don't forget to rate it. Don't forget to give it a 5-star treatment. Also, download. You can download it on any major website where you get your podcast, guys. So, guys, don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. Comment down below. And we'll go ahead and get into it, guys. Like I said, you can download me today on Apple, Spotify, or the iHeartRadio app. And I'm also on YouTube at Kick It With Crowder. You can go ahead and subscribe today. And then also, guys, follow me on Twitter. A lot of good content going on there. I post my picks every day at Kick It With Crow. And guys, let's go ahead and get into the show, okay? So, baseball, it was... I feel like what baseball did this year, being able to play those 60 games, they did what they should have done. They should have been playing baseball far sooner, but they get 60 games in, and then they kind of go to a bubble there in the playoffs. And if you ask Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, if you ask him, hey, you get through the last 2 months of the season, but on the last night, Justin Turner tests positive and then goes out and celebrates with his team. If you tell him that that's what's going to happen, but you get through the season and pretty much unscathed, I feel like Major League Baseball takes that every single time. It's a tough situation with the Justin Turner situation. It's hard to tell somebody that he can't go out there and celebrate with his brothers. He can't go out there and celebrate something that the Dodgers have worked so hard for. They lost a heartbreaker in 17. They got beat by Red Sox in 18. 19 they lose to the Nationals. This year they finally get back. And they kind of knock down that door. 32 years the Dodgers hadn't won a World Series. So Justin Turner is a huge catalyst in this offense, and he's one of their best players. So it's hard. I don't think I want to see what's going to happen. I want to see if there's going to be like some kind of super spread. If Justin Turner was around all these people and there's a spread of the virus. I want to see kind of what comes up with that. I want to see if Major League Baseball will do anything. I want to see if they're going to I'm going to see if they'll penalize the Dodgers, penalize Justin Turner. So, it's a weird situation, especially if the Tampa Bay Rays would have won the Game 6. Man, who knows what would have happened Game 7? You probably would have had to postpone Game 7. Justin Turner wouldn't have been able to play. I mean, it would have been. They're happy that the Dodgers went ahead and won that World Series. And the hot take, I didn't watch much series, guys. I watched the highlights. I know the Game 4 ending was pretty crazy, where there's a play at the plate. Will Smith turns around. He's not there. The ball slings out of his glove, and Tampa Bay wins on the walk-off. And then also Game 6, Snell was dealing, and he was taken out by Kevin Cash, an analytics guy. I got to go with my ace. I got to go with a guy out there shoving. I got to go with him only giving up 2 hits in the 6th inning, 73 pitches. It's not like he was in the 100, 110, 115 pitches. His arm was, he was rested. He was ready to go. And the Tampa Bay will look at that. Now 0-2 in the World Series is Tampa Bay. They'll look at that for the next few years, man. They do have a very good ball team. They should be, right up there with the Yankees in the AL East for years to come. So Tampa Bay, congrats on getting to the World Series. LA Dodgers, congrats on winning the World Series. Corey Seager, guys, named MVP, hit 8 home runs this postseason, 5 against the Atlanta Braves. So, he deserved the MVP. Him or Mookie Betts, one of those two should have won it to me. Just the plays they made. This team was down 3-1 to the Atlanta Braves, and they end up winning 3 in a row versus the Braves, and then they take 4 out of 6 from Tampa Bay. So hell of a job from the Dodgers. I actually picked them to win the World Series in my preview show this year. Wish I would have been wrong. Wish it would have been the Atlanta Braves, but the Dodgers get it done, and we'll see what happens next year. Will there be a bubble? Will there be fans in the stands next year? It hurt not being able to go to any Braves games this year. The revenue that MLB lost, I'm not sure how much it was, but I know it was a good bit. So we'll see what happens in this offseason. Big offseason for a lot of teams. The Atlanta Braves have a lot to look at. You're getting $18 million off the books from Cole Hamels. I don't think they'll go down that road again. Also, you got to re-sign Ozuna if you're an Atlanta Braves fan. They just have to do it. They got to give him 70, 80 million, whatever he wants, 3 years. And get him back in this nucleus. Maybe you got some young outfielders. If you go out and get an ace, you got 4 to 5 pitchers on the starting rotation. You got a nice bullpen. The Atlanta Braves should be back next year, but so close this year, so close, and maybe next year will be the Atlanta Braves year. But shout out to the Dodgers. They made enough plays to win. Uris came in there in the last 2.5 innings and shut Tampa Bay down. So congrats to Dave Roberts and the LA Dodgers organization for getting it done. And we'll move on to college football. So college football, guys, that is what started this show. We started this show based on college football, and it's kind of expanded to a lot more than that now. But I want to talk college football real quick. I want to talk about last week's results, some of the big games. I talked about the Penn State-Ohio State coming up this weekend. Well, how about that Penn State-Indiana game? Game that was, very, very good. Top 20. Penn State was a number 8 team in the country. They were 6.5-point favorites going in that game. A lot of people put the money on Penn State, and what Indiana did was, they tied it up. They were down 8, scored a touchdown late, went for 2, got it. Penn State scores in overtime. Indiana gets the ball back. They score, and then they go for two. I love that. I love the confidence that your coach instills in your team. If you would have told him you got to get a 2-point conversion going into and playing Penn State, I guarantee you their coach would have taken it. And that's what he did. They win by literally an inch. A play at the goal line, quarterback gets outside the pocket, dives for the end zone. The ball could have hit right short. I mean, they ruled it a touchdown. It was hard to overturn that, and Indiana beats. Indiana holds on and beats Penn State, so that kind of took a little bit of luster out of this matchup this week. But it was a hell of a game. Indiana, got to give them credit, 36-35 over Penn State. Also, Ohio State returns to action. Justin Fields, I mean, he is he's probably the second best player in all of college football behind Trevor Lawrence. I really like Justin Fields, 52-17 over Nebraska. I'll talk about that Ohio State-Penn State game here in a little bit. Notre Dame puts a drubbing on Pittsburgh, 45-3. Alabama takes care of Tennessee, but does lose Jalen Waddle, the electric wide receiver. They lose 48. Tennessee loses 48-17 Alabama. Clemson gets it done 47-21 over Syracuse in a game that was really close there for a little bit. Oklahoma State sets up a big matchup with Texas this week by taking care of Iowa State 24-21. And then Cincinnati, maybe the best non-Power 5 team in all the land. They have a really good defense led by Luke Fickell as their head coach. And, man, Cincinnati's a fun team. Took Cincinnati last week against SMU. They did cover that game. They beat them pretty bad, 42-13. Miami hangs on against Virginia 19-14. BYU, Zach Wilson, they're continuing with their run they have going on, 52-14. North Carolina beats down NC State 48-21. Michigan and their new quarterback Joe Milton look really good, handing the Gophers a big loss, 49-24. And then Wake Forest upsets Virginia Tech, and also Coastal Carolina remains undefeated, beating Georgia Southern last week. So that was what happened last week in college football. Also LSU goes in and beats the South Carolina team, where a lot of people thought South Carolina could hang with LSU. That was not the case. So I want to talk about this week's matchups. I already talked about the Ohio State-Penn State matchup. That's probably the game of the week in the Big Ten and college football. And I think Justin Fields, guy who they beat Penn State. They had their closest game last year beside Clemson, 28-17 last year. This is going to be a game that's in State College, and normally it's going to be a whiteout in this kind of game, but that's not going to be the case this year. So what they're going to do is I think they're going to have some fans in the stands, or maybe they I'm not sure, they may not have any at all. I haven't really checked that, but I know it's not going to be the atmosphere it normally is. Ohio State, I'm rolling with Ohio State the rest of the year. I really think they're going to run through the Big Ten. When they get to the playoff, either against Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame, something like that, it may be a little bit different. But, man, I really like Ohio State's team right now. I think if they go undefeated, win the Big Ten, you have to put them in. I know you only played 8 games, but at the end of the day, this is one of the best 4 or 5 teams in all of college football. So I'm excited to see what they do versus Penn State this weekend. We'll go to the SEC, guys. We'll go Georgia, number 5. Georgia taking on Kentucky. They're 16.5-point favorites. What's up, Jay Buck? Thanks for watching, man. So Georgia takes on Kentucky. They're 16.5-point underdogs. 16.5-point favorites this week. So we'll see what Georgia does. Georgia's going to really stifle this Kentucky offense. They have not been able to get it done. I say under 250 yards of total offense for the Kentucky Wildcats this weekend. This game smells 37-7, 41-14, something like that. I really think that Georgia's going to control the game defensively. And do you see JT Daniels actually come in and maybe get an opportunity to play if he's healthy? You know what you have with Stetson Bennett, the mailman. He's a game manager. He's a guy who can make some plays outside the pocket, a leader, a guy that this football team trusts. But, man, I think JT Daniels can really push the ball down the field for this Georgia team and open it up. They got some weapons. Burton. They got Pickens outside. They got Cook. They got Zamir White. They have the freshman Milton. I mean, this offense can be good. As long as their defense plays good. They're not going to be playing Alabama every week like they did like they did a few weeks ago. So this Georgia team, they're still number 5 in the country. They take care of business and then possibly win the SEC championship. They will be in the playoff as well. So we'll talk Georgia, Kentucky, and then also Cincinnati takes on a Memphis team. This is going to be a very good game, a high-scoring Memphis team taking on the number 7 Cincinnati Bearcats. We'll see what happens in that game. Michigan State rivalry this weekend, guys. Also, you also have Texas Oklahoma State in a really big matchup this week. Chuba Hubbard and this Oklahoma State offense, and Oklahoma State's defense is a lot better, only giving up 12 points a game, I think, right now. So Mike Gundy's got those guys playing good ball. Alabama takes on a Mississippi State team where Mississippi State has lost a lot of players since Mike Leach took over. I know they lose KJ Hill, who will forego the rest of the season and focus on the NFL. They lose 3 other players this week as well. 31 points. I mean, that's a lot of points for me. Alabama's probably going to have to keep Mississippi State under 20 to cover that spread because I think they're going to score about 40 or 50. We'll see what happens in that matchup. And then Arkansas, Texas A&M. I really like Arkansas in this game, plus 12.5. I've laid the points with Arkansas Razorbacks all day. Texas A&M may win the ball game, but Sam Pittman, what he's done with this Arkansas team, he's got to get a lot of credit because they're one of the most improved teams in all the land. And then Missouri, Florida. What will this Missouri, Florida game? Missouri is a very improved football team. They've played tough with some teams. Also, they're sitting at 2-2. I know they lost to Alabama. They beat LSU. Also, they beat Kentucky last week too. So we'll see what this Missouri-Florida matchup. Florida, how many players are they going to have on the field? I know they've been dealing with the coronavirus. Had a game postponed last week, and this is a game you don't want to look forward to next week versus that UGA matchup. You got to take care of business against Missouri this weekend. So man, we got some pretty good games this weekend. I'm really excited for it. And then, of course, guys, the postponement, Wisconsin, Nebraska, they will not play because the coronavirus has taken out about 15, 16 Wisconsin batters. So tough sledding right now going on, man. You gotta make sure you're doing the right thing and wear your mask. They want you to wear your mask. Social distance, do all that stuff, but keep this thing on. Try to not have these huge outbreaks so we can continue on with the college football season. So those are my those are some of the big notable games this weekend. I will pick 4 of these college football games later on in the show, guys. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And then, like I said, next week, UGA. Going to be a huge game down in Jacksonville, probably the SEC East de facto championship. Whoever wins this game most likely is going to come out of the East. They both have 1 loss. Florida, of course, losing to A&M. Georgia losing to Alabama. That doesn't really matter. We'll see what happens against these 2 teams right here next week. And then also Notre Dame and Clemson next week. I feel like that's going to be a heck of a matchup as long as Notre Dame can keep it close. But, man, this Clemson offense is very high-powered, and ETN is an amazing player. Trevor Lawrence is an amazing player, and those 2 are going to lead this Clemson program very far this year. So that's what's going on in college football this weekend. Got some big games, probably Ohio State, Penn State, probably the biggest of them all. But we'll see what happens this weekend with some of these games, and expect the top 4, 5, 6 teams in the country to dominate this weekend. So I want to talk NFL. Want to kind of move on to NFL. And guys, I am trying to go by a little faster tonight. I know sometimes my shows can last up to an hour. I want to keep it around 45 minutes tonight, and so we can all get ready for this Atlanta Falcons Carolina Panthers matchup that I want to talk about. Falcons coming in at 1-6, Panthers at 3-4. A big division matchup. Falcons only played 1 division team. They lost to the Panthers earlier, a few weeks ago, actually. And Carolina's sitting at 3-4. They're an improved football team. Teddy Bridgewater is managing the ball game, finding his receivers out of the backfield. DJ Moore is a heck of a receiver on the outside, and the defense, they're playing sound fundamental football on the side of the football. They got Derek Brown in the draft. They're good up front, and in this matchup last time, the Falcons it was Carolina beat them pretty good at home, and we'll see what happens tonight. Vegas, it's a 2.5 point game. Carolina's favored 2.5. So can the Atlanta Falcons hang around with Carolina? And if it's a close call here in the fourth quarter. Can the Atlanta Falcons pull through and kind of win a football game in which they have an opportunity to win? They've had 3 games where they had a 99.9% chance to win, lost all 3 in one season. All the other NFL, I think, has had 4 this season. So, it's just unreal. They're just not able to finish, and it's just, they got to get through this little mental block they're having and just go out there and finish games, not find ways to lose games. And the Atlanta defense has looked better the last 2 weeks. They give up 23 to the Vikings, and last week they give up 23 to the Lions. So if they can hang around that 20 to 24 point range, I feel like that may be enough tonight. I want to see a big dose of Julio Jones. He didn't have a big game last week. You'll have a 10-day layoff, so man, let Julio get loose out there. Also, Todd Gurley, a guy who has 7 rushing touchdowns this year, 400-something rushing yards. He's having a decent season. A lot of people are going to point to him last week as the reason they lost. Todd Gurley's not the reason the Atlanta Falcons lost last week. Yes, they should have just kneeled the football and kicked it, but that's, the coaches did call that run play. So, at the end of the day, the defense did have an opportunity to make stops. They let them go 80 yards in 64 seconds with no timeouts. That's just, it's inexplicable what the defense, the pressure that not only the defense has on them sometimes, but the offense. The offense has to go out there and almost be perfect on every opportunity. And I feel like the Atlanta Falcons on national football, primetime football tonight, 8 o'clock. This is a time to go out there and show people that, hey, we're not giving up on this season. A lot of people want them to tank, get one of these quarterbacks. This team has way too many holes than just quarterback. All right, let's just be honest. If you do land up there in the top 5, maybe you trade down and kind of help rebuild your defense. That's what I would like them to do. But Matt Ryan should have a decent little game, 250 passing yards, somewhere around there. I expect Gurley to have a nice little game, 70 to 80 rushing yards. Julio, man, got to get Julio and Ridley loose, and then we'll see what they do on the defensive side of the ball. Simplify things for the defense. Deion Jones, he's got to do a better job in the middle of the field. Also, A.J. Terrell has played pretty good on the outside, so I'm excited to see what this Atlanta Falcons defense can do versus Teddy Bridgewater, DJ Moore, Mike Davis, and this Carolina offense. Joe Brady, he's the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. He's done a heck of a job so far this year. And Carolina Panthers play tough football, okay? It's going to be a low-scoring game. I really expect this game 24-20. The over's 51.5. I love the under tonight. I'll talk about that later on in my locks for this weekend. But, man, I want to see what the Atlanta Falcons can do tonight and kind of shock some people because no one is expecting them to win tonight. But that's when you can go in and make plays and not have a lot of pressure and just kind of get the job done tonight. So I'm really excited for the Atlanta Falcons to go out and kind of shock the world. No one thinks we're going to win, and that's okay. But it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. The Atlanta Falcons just got to go out there and play tough, hard-nosed football and finish the damn game. Finish the game and turn this thing around. Get some momentum going into next season. Put some tape out there for your next head coach. Put some tape out there for your GM. Hey, I want to be a part of this football team. So Raheem Morris, he's done a pretty good job, 1-1 as the interim coach. Had us in the game last week. I would have just kneed the ball and kicked the field goal, but at the end of the day, maybe they missed the field goal. You never know. It's crazy. So we'll see what happens this week, guys, and then some other notable matchups. Hey, that would be awesome, Zach. But man, our schedule's tough. We got the Saints twice, Tampa Bay twice, Kansas City, the Chargers. They got a very, very tough schedule. So we'll see what happens with that. But hey, I like to start off the week, my weekend with a Falcons win. That would be beautiful tonight. So guys, we got a Patriots-Bills matchups in the AFC this weekend. Man, this could be a swing game for the Buffalo Bills. If the Buffalo Bills can win this game, they'll be up a few games now on the Patriots. I think they'll be up 3 games on the New England Patriots. And the Patriots, man, will be sitting at 2-5. They lose this weekend. The Tennessee Titans try to get back on track after losing their first game last week against the Bengals this week. Joe Burrow has looked impressive so far. The Las Vegas Raiders and Browns. This is going to be a pretty good matchup. Browns without Odell Beckham and Nick Chubb. And Las Vegas Raiders, this is a team that's going to play with a lot of people this year. I feel like I like the Raiders in that game. I'll take the points on that one, plus 2.5. Colts Lions, that's a toss-up. Anything could happen in that game. Vikings Packers, expect the Packers to win pretty big in that one. Jets Chiefs. Oh, man. Good luck to the Jets, because you're going to need it. Because, man, the Kansas City Chiefs are about to slaughter you guys. I expect the Chiefs to win big in this one this weekend. So we'll see. 0-7 Jets, tank for Trevor Lawrence. That's got to be what they're got to be doing right now, because they're not a very good football team. The LA Rams play the Dolphins in Tua Tagovailoa NFL debut. And, hey, man, I'm a big Tua fan. I had him as my number 2 quarterback coming out of the draft, right ahead of Justin Herbert. So I want to see what he's able to do this weekend versus a pretty good Rams defense. He's got Aaron Donald going to be coming after him the whole game, and then also got a lockdown corner in Jalen Ramsey. So that's a good and tough matchup for Tua in his NFL debut. And then probably the game of the week. What's up, Zach? And then probably the game of the week, man. You got the 6-0 Steelers taking on the 5-1 Ravens. That's going to be a heck of a game. I think the Baltimore Ravens are favored in this one by 4. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers in that one, plus 4. I'll take them all day. I think this will be a really close game, but we'll see what happens. Also, the LA Chargers take on the Broncos this weekend. Both teams sitting at 2-4, trying to get a division win. And then you have the Saints-Bears. That'll be a pretty good matchup. Saints sitting at 4-2, Bears at 5-2. Then you got the 49ers-Seahawks guys at the 4 o'clock game. That should be a pretty good matchup. We'll see what happens there. And then the Sunday night game. This is tough for the NFL right here. Eagles-Cowboys. Ooh. Whoever wins this game will be sitting at first place in the NFC East. And, man, I wish the Falcons were in the NFC East, because they could maybe win that division. Cowboys are just not a good football team right now. They can't stop anyone on defense. They've lose not only Dak Prescott, but now Andy Dalton's probably going to be out with a concussion. Have their third-string quarterback. I love Carson Wentz and the Eagles in this game on Sunday night. And then Monday night game, another not a really good game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New York Giants. I will say the New York Giants do play teams tough, okay? They don't go out there and just get the shit kicked out of them like the New York Jets do every weekend. So I think the game will be a lot closer than people think. Tampa Bay's 11.5-point favorite. I'd say Tampa Bay by 2 touchdowns, but the Giants keep it close. So that's the NFL games for this next weekend, guys. So we'll see what happens in some of these games. Love some of the spreads in this one, so make sure you get in on that action this weekend, guys. So going to talk about a little bit of NBA before I give you my picks for this weekend, guys. NBA, Daryl Morey, GM of the Houston Rockets the last 12 years. And I'll answer that in just a second, Zach. So you got Daryl Morey, the GM of the Houston Rockets, kind of just needs a fresh change of scenery, kind of goes on and will be the president of basketball operations for the Philadelphia 76ers, a Sixers team that 2 years ago lost in Game 7 against the Toronto Raptors on that Kawhi shot. Then this year get bounced in the first round after the Ben Simmons injury. So what do? You have Ben Simmons, you got Embiid, you got pieces you can kind of build with. I've heard either, will he try to make a trade with his former team for a superstar that he brought to Houston, James Harden? If you're the Philadelphia 76ers, do you consider trading Ben Simmons and maybe a couple other players, or, Joel Embiid and maybe a draft pick here or two to the Rockets for James Harden? I really think I think it'd be a good move for the 76ers. I'm not sure that Houston would do it, but we'll see. I think that you could pair Embiid with Russell Westbrook down in Houston, and then you got Simmons who can kind of play that 3 or 4 position, and then James Harden have the ball in his hands majority of the time. That may help both franchises, honestly. So that's a move that, I just want to put it out there. I don't know that it will happen this offseason, but hey, James Harden's only got 2 years left. He's making $40 million a year. So we'll see what they do in the NBA. Thanks for watching, Brandon. Appreciate it, man. And Zach, I'll get back to your question. Does Todd Gurley have a good game tonight? I think his over-under for rushing yards is like 68.5. I think that's a good. I think that's right around what he could have, 60 to 75 yards rushing. He'd probably get a touchdown tonight. So if you're trying to play him in fantasy, as long as he catches a ball or two out of the backfield, gets a couple receiving yards, he should end up with about 15 fantasy points. And most of the time, I will say, I feel like 15 points in fantasy, I'll take that out of a running back 1, running back 2, wherever you get him at. Todd Gurley hasn't had a bad season. He scored 7 rushing touchdowns, 400 rushing yards. So I feel like he does have a decent game tonight. Zach, I'll go 75 rushing yards, a touchdown. He catches a couple balls out of the backfield for 10, 15 yards. So if he can do that, and Matt Ryan can find these receivers, Ridley and Julio Jones, and they can have a better game they did last time against this Panthers defense, Atlanta's going to be in the game late, and that's all you can ask for. But man, you gotta ask for a little bit more if you're a Falcons fan. We got to finish the game. Okay, really looking forward to this matchup tonight, guys. So hey, I'm going to give you my picks here. I want to give you my picks, and I'll also talk about my picks I had last weekend, guys. So I have cooled down a little bit, and I am actually, let me get my picks right here. Got it all wrote down. All right, guys. So I was 13-11 going into last week, and I had a 1-3 week. So guys, I'm sitting at 14-14. I need a hot week. I like that Ridley jersey. I think Ridley can be a part of this team for the next 5 to 7 years, hopefully. And I do not want the Atlanta Falcons to move on from Matt Ryan or Julio yet. Definitely not Julio Jones. If you move on from anybody, maybe you draft a quarterback, but I feel like this team has so many more issues. I don't even agree with that, honestly. So we'll see. 13-11 coming into last week. I went 1-3. Tough week for me. Cincinnati, SMU, I did win that game. And then Iowa -3. They were covering the entire game. Let Purdue score a touchdown in the last 2 minutes to lose that game. Also, West Virginia, Texas Tech, West Virginia -3. They lost by a touchdown. And then Kentucky, Mizzou, Kentucky's offense is just not very good. So I'm pounding the Georgia Bulldogs this weekend over Kentucky. I'm taking UGA. So here's my 5 games. Here's my 5 games for this weekend that I'm going to put on my locks, guys, and we'll see what happens, okay? So I'm going to start with UGA Kentucky. I'm taking UGA 16.5 over Kentucky. I really like the Bulldogs, probably by about 25 to 31 points this weekend. Just don't think Kentucky's I don't think Kentucky's offense is very good. They do have a pretty good defense, though. So I think field position plays a big part in this game. I feel like it'll be 10 to 14 point game at halftime, and then Georgia will just come out in the second half and dominate the Kentucky Wildcats. I'm taking UGA -16.5 for one of my locks this weekend. Next game I'll go to, North Carolina got back on track last week after the embarrassing loss to Florida State a couple weeks ago. They get on track and they take. I had them last week in the matchup. NC State did not tackle, and North Carolina has 2 really good backs, a really good quarterback in Sam Howell. I'm taking the 4-1 North Carolina team over Virginia, who's 1-4. I'll take UNC with the points. I'll lay the 7 points with North Carolina. I'll take North Carolina at -7. And then the third team, that some people are saying this could be a trap game for Notre Dame because they do play Clemson next week, but I'm not buying it. This Georgia Tech team got 76 points scored on them against Clemson 2 weeks ago. What the hell? I mean, I just don't trust Georgia Tech at this point. They are trying to build something special down there. It's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to take Notre Dame -20 over the Ramblin' Wreck this weekend in Atlanta. I feel like this game's got, Notre Dame could score 40 points easily. Can they just not give up, more than 20? And then they'll definitely cover that game. So North Carolina, -7. Notre Dame, -20. UGA, -16.5. And guys, I told you I was riding with Ohio State. I'm riding with them pretty much the rest of the year unless these huge spreads they have sometimes. I'm taking Ohio State -11.5 over Penn State. And one of the reasons I'm taking them is not only is it a game in Penn State where they're not going to have all their fans, if any fans. I just feel like this Ohio State offense is just so spectacular. They've added another freshman receiver. They have a great running game. Justin Fields is just an amazing football player. He's going to be an elite quarterback at the next level. I really, truly do believe that. Ohio State's got some unfinished business. They lose to Clemson last year in heartbreaking fashion. And I feel like if they go 8-0 and they win the Big Ten, yeah, man, they got lucky. They got lucky like eight or nine times when they scored touchdowns. But I'm taking Ohio State -11.5. I'll take them by 2 touchdowns over Penn State. I'll go 38-24 for the Ohio State Buckeyes this weekend. So I got Ohio State -11.5. I got UGA -16.5. Got Notre Dame -20 and UNC -7. So I'm going with all the favorites this weekend. No straight up picks around here, guys. We do against the spread and against the spread only, guys. And then tonight with the Atlanta Falcons, they're +105 on the money line. You bet $100, you win 105. I wanted to do it. I couldn't. I had to stay away from this game. The Falcons just break my heart too much, so I'm not going to bet on the Atlanta Falcons, but I am going to bet the under, okay? So the under, guys, is 51.5. You can always buy an extra point to get them at 52.5, and that's what I did here. It's a -130 payout, so it's not as good as a payout as, if the Falcons win on the money line. But 52.5, guys, I'm taking the under 52.5, so hopefully, hey, no more than 52 points get scored tonight. We can secure our first lock of the week this weekend, guys. So, hey, 14-14, tough couple last 2 weeks. I think I'm like 2-6 last 2 weeks, guys, so I got to do better. That's on me, and we'll get back to 4 or 5 games won this weekend. I really feel like these are some good games, some good opportunities. I always give extra picks as well. Those picks normally do good, but these are my locks for the weekend. So, hey, Murphy, Zach Taylor, thank you all so much for watching, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining the show. Guys, don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like down below so we can get this thing out there. I will edit this tonight, and we'll get it out there in the universe for Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. Monty, man, thank you for the like right there. Thank you guys so much. And if you're listening on Apple, on Spotify, and you're a new listener, guys, every Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to do this show, and we'll bring you this content, guys. I really appreciate the fans. Without you guys, I don't even have a show. So thanks, guys, for all the downloads, all the subscriptions. I see Collins is watching right now. I mean, so it only shows me 2 people are watching, but I'm seeing a bunch of people's likes. So sometimes Facebook doesn't really tell you how many people are really watching, guys. So thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. We'll put this out there, guys. Don't forget to download, subscribe, all that good stuff. You've been kicking it with Crowder, and I really appreciate it, guys. Until next week, I'm out. Let's go.